we're asking you to take a moment. Yeah, all week you haven't done anything for the program. You have been a listener and you appreciate what we do. Please support us by sending a gift from the TikTok gallery, which maybe just a rose. If you send a rose, it helps the program in terms of TikTok recognizes that we are doing well. And on the other end, you are in Canada. Are you in Canada? Are you in Canada and you want to support your Politics Plus podcast? Well, we have an what is it called, moderator? E-transfer. If you are in Jamaica and you want to support the Politics Plus podcast, send a WhatsApp to 876-858-9553. And you'll get a response. You can do that from a local account. All my listeners should send something to the program tonight. Every one of you. It's even $5 because it is very much needed at this time. See, I have to be taking 5 minutes out of my notes to make the appeal to you. Send a gift to the podcast tonight using the Zelle account. Yeah. What do you have to give? What's in your hand? 20, 30, 50, 40, whatever amount, so that we can make sure that we stay on for the entire week next week. When we are secured, yeah, then we can do better, you know? Just want you to know that, okay? We shouldn't have to be asking, will we be on or will we not be on? Because we don't do advertisements. We don't do advertisement on this show, and we are not in anybody's pocket. Nobody is paying us. So we ask our listeners to help us to keep the show going. Not all of it, you know. We're not asking you to finance all of it. We're asking you to finance the little that you can. Please send something to the Zelle account tonight or the Cash App. All right, let's go to the notes. Prime Minister Mark Carney said these words as he addressed the World Economic Forum a couple of weeks ago. Go ahead.
You should warn it.
Okay, all right, go back to Carney. Go ahead.
Nostalgia is not a strategy, but we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and the most to gain from genuine cooperation. Middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. We know.
All right, you hear that? Mr. Carney said, if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. Those are profound words. Thank you, listeners. Thank you for your gifts. Mark Carney's statement is not merely political realism. It's an old philosophical warning dressed in modern power language. And it has reverberated across the globe. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. The world is full of competing appetites. And in this world of competing appetites, nations exist in a perpetual state of contest. And only those who speak, bargain, and decide are spared from being consumed by the decisions of others. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. A table is not furniture. A table is agency. A menu is not food. A menu is objectification. And so to be on the menu is to be described. To be on the menu is to be priced. To be on the menu is to be consumed without consent. To be at the table is to name oneself. And this is the tension facing Jamaica, and by extension, the Prime Minister. In a world where small states are often spoken about, negotiated around, and extracted from, but rarely centered. History has trained powerful nations to view the Caribbean as resource, route, resort, or risk. Small countries like Jamaica, resource, route, resort, or risk. Sugar was once, bauxite came later, tourism now, geopolitics always. The plate keeps changing. The appetite does not. And this is a struggle between being for oneself and being for others. A concept of Jean-Paul Sartre when he warned about when your identity is altered externally. Think about it. Your name, you did not choose. What if you could choose your parents? I ask all of you listening to me tonight. What if you could choose your parents? Would you choose your mother? The mother you have? Or your father? What if you could choose your parents? Like how you choose your husband, or your husband choose you, or you choose your wife. What if you could choose your parents? When your identity is altered externally, your freedom collapses into function. And Jamaica must resist becoming a noun owned by someone else's sentence. The menu is a list without speech. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And the Prime Minister is being asked to ensure that Jamaica is not merely present in global rooms, but positioned. Not invited as flavor, like scallion and thyme, black pepper and curry, garlic and chicken seasoning. Not tolerated, but trusted. Not silent while others decide trade routes, climate responses, digital sovereignty. or security architectures that will shape Caribbean futures. Taking Jamaica off the menu does not mean abandoning diplomacy. It means deepening it. It means converting strategic geography into strategic leverage. It means refusing the old colonial grammar where power speak and islands listen. The table is where sovereignty matures. The table is where small states survive large appetites. The table is where Jamaica stop being selected and start selecting. This is not about size. It's about stance. And you ladies, you ladies know a little about size and stance. But that's for Sunday. And the world is quietly waiting to see whether Jamaica will eat or be eaten. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. You're either going to eat or you're going to be eaten. Let's come right back. We're not done yet. Tashina Gibson, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? Tashina, why are you laughing?
The old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and the most to gain from genuine cooperation. Middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. We know the old order is...
There you go. If you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. The Prime Minister did not assume leadership of a nation comfortably at the table. When Mr. Holness took over Jamaica, we were not at the table. Jamaica was not seated among decision makers. Mr. Holness inherited a country exposed, fiscally constrained, strategically predictable, and globally perceived as manageable rather than formidable. My Labourite friends, listen. I tell you every day, you've gotten it wrong. You don't know what you have, and you don't understand the enemy. So you're not marketing properly. Under decades of PNP governance, Jamaica's sovereignty had been thinned by debt dependency. Our young people in this country are struggling for context. They do not understand the history. And we are civic illiterate. Policy difference and economic fragility. The nation was present in global conversations, but as a subject, not speaker. Jamaica was known, but not consulted. Jamaica was studied, but there was no seat at the table. In physiosophical terms, Jamaica had become described as self-defining. Debt had replaced leverage. Aid had replaced autonomy. And good intentions had replaced hard power. This monologue that I'm doing, I should do it for five days straight. I should just repeat it. It is that important. This is what it means to be on the menu. When others decide what you are worth, how you are used, and when you are consumed. And if I may divert a little and speak to my ladies, and I want to be sensitive about that. Women, not depend no man menu. Come off of the man the menu. No make no man, because when a man put you on his menu, I eat him, I go eat you, you know. Keep your minds. Strive for independence in this world. Anyway, get to that on Sunday. This is what it means to be on the menu. When others decide what you are worth, how you are used, and when you are consumed. The leadership of Mr. Holness marks a deliberate rupture with that condition. Because rather than perform nationalism, he practiced nation positioning. His project was not loud sovereignty, but credible sovereignty. The kind that allows a small state to stand upright in rooms of giants without raising its voice. If you are not at the table, you're on the menu. And you have to understand the simple truth of modern power, that no one invites instability to the table. No one invites the instability to the table. Jamaican sit down at no table. We were always on the menu. Fiscal consolidation was not austerity for applause. When Mr. Holness spoke about bitter medicine, it's because we were on the menu. We were not at the table. And if you're not at the table, you better take the bitter medicine. But of course, we were not electorally mature, so you know what the result of that. It was emancipation from economic supervision. We never called any shots. Reducing your debt to GDP was not an accounting exercise. It was a philosophical act. It means that we will no longer borrow our dignity, because he that pays the piper calls the tune. And so by restoring macroeconomic credibility, Jamaica removed itself from the category of nations that must accept whatever is offered. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And in 2016, Jamaica was not at the table. We were very much on the menu. If ever there is history to be written, it must be written not on books, but in the minds of Jamaicans, that we were a nation of no value. We never had a seat at the table. It has nothing to do with our size, as the ladies will tell you. Size no matter. Oh, am I right? At the same time, the nation had to be repositioned geopolitically. The country was no longer a passive Caribbean waypoint, but an active node. To sit at the table, you must be useful without being owned. Gracious peacock, what are you laughing about? Culturally, today is Bob Marley's birthday. Jamaica has always punched above its weight. When it comes on to culture, music, we have always punched above our weight. In sports, we have produced Usain Bolt, Shelley and Fraser Price, on top of the world. But under this government, that cultural power began to translate into diplomatic and economic influence. If you are not at the table, you are on the menu, and I'm telling you how Jamaica, under this administration, came off the menu and at the table. Nobody can name we again. But we can go back, you know. And that's the sad truth. You have to stay on, hang on. We're going to get there. The brand of Jamaica, once exploited without return, started to be leveraged. Tourism, logistic, technology, engaging the diaspora became instrument of statecraft, not accidents of geography. Many of you listening to me, well, not many, some of you don't even understand the significant turnaround of this nation to take us off the menu and put us at the table. Where the PNP era normalized survival, Holness normalized strategy. They say he's a chess player. Study him and you'll realize that the difference between the two parties is that one kept the country in survival mode. The other provided the medicine for the patient to be released from the hospital. Where previous leadership managed decline carefully. You know, they had a term in the 90s called negative growth. This leadership has reversed vulnerability deliberately. And here is the quiet genius. Jamaica did not announce its arrival at the table, you know. It simply stopped asking for permission to sit. You know, philosophers tell us that freedom is not declared, it is exercised. Jamaica's movement from the menu to the table was not symbolic, it was structural. It happened in balance sheets, in security frameworks. You see this 40% reduction in crime? That's moving from the menu to the table. In our diplomatic posture, it happened because of leadership. Holness did not only change policies, he changed how Jamaica is read. Every person listening to me tonight, you are a part of history and you don't even know. You are a part of history and you don't know. This is not politics. Because my shirt is not green. This is reality. These are facts. And they are facts that Jamaicans must be aware of. We must become civic literate. No longer an item. No longer consumable. We are consequential. We don't have any more Usain Bolts, and no more Shelley and Frasers, and no more Bob Marleys. We have wholeness. I'm going to say that again. We don't have Usain Bolt. His era is done. Shelley and Fraser. But Jamaica today has an Andrew Holness. And what he has done for Jamaica, let me tell you, is monumental. It's not rhetoric. It's more than party politics. It is what leadership looks like when a nation refuses to be eaten. If you are not at the table, you're on the menu. And what I want you to understand is that never again should we go back on the menu. Never again should we go back on the menu. Never. We need to draw a line in the sand and say we have worked too hard. Some of us have sucked salt through the spoon. Let's be honest. Jamaica knows this condition intimately. We have lived it. We have lived it. We have paid for it. And we have survived it. And we must never return to the menu. This country must never return to the menu. And I don't care if I am criticized for this. Andrew Holness is Jamaica's modern hero. What Holness has done surpasses all the previous national heroes. He has taken Jamaica off the menu where they would have nyam and put us at the table. It's not done yet. But I believe I'm speaking facts. I'm coming right back. You have never contributed to this program, you have to do so tonight. The program is lacking in support, and we need to keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna ask my moderator to keep the I know she knows what to do, but we're asking you to make a very special effort tonight to support the live and to Neighbor, I like you very much. Thank God for you, sir. God chosen vessel. I like you too. The Zelle account is 954-635-8732. We also have Cash App and or just send something for us, please, tonight. Thank you. Don't leave tonight before you send it, okay? We need to confirm that so we can push forward for next week. We have lots of new ideas and new programming for you. Can't afford to miss it. The Politics Plus podcast with Hello Neighbor, Caroline, Harry, and Scratchy. Right, let's get back to the notes. We must never return to it. The leadership of Holness did not inherit a nation at the table. Jamaica was not at the table when Mr. Holness took over. He inherited a country laid out, exposed by decades of mismanagement. Pardon my language. It's like a man looking for a woman. You know what? Let me not say it because the women may be a little offended. Holness did not inherit a nation at the table, which is why his leadership is so heroic. He's a hero, you know, fantastic leader that has not got the type of credit. And I'm challenging my labor right friends to step up your game and support your prime minister. Fiscal recklessness, ideological nostalgia masquerading as governance. The PNP was ideologically nostalgic about socialism, parading as governance. What we had in the 90s wasn't governance. It was almost cultism. A group of people singly focused on themselves, not the nation. Quite frankly, none of those who were part of that administration should ever be in parliament. That's a failed bunch. And somehow, the Jamaican people seemed to have been wedded to the deception. But lies, you know, have an expiry date. Did you know that? Lies have an expiry date. You can't lie forever. At some point, if you don't repent, you will be exposed. You can't cover it up. And when you start to take a lie to tell a lie, somehow you get exposed. Under the PNP, Jamaica was predictable, indebted. That is the most dangerous posture a small state can assume in a world governed by appetite. I could tell you about bauxite. You know bauxite? PNP forward sold bauxite, you know. Forward sell it. You know how much? I tell you. Anyway, we'll get to the bauxite one of these days. When a country is on the menu, others decide what it is worth, how it will be used, and when it will be discarded. That's the legacy that the Prime Minister inherited. All of you that are expecting magic need to understand that. And I keep saying every night, the party must embrace the historical politics. The PNP era normalized dependence and dressed it up as compassion. It trained Jamaica to look onward for rescue instead of inward for discipline. It made debt fashionable and sovereignty conditional. And the world responded accordingly, not with respect, but with terms. And when the terms were not favorable. We saw the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich since slavery on this island. The menu was the IMF supervision. The menu was policy written elsewhere, not at the Ministry of Finance, because when you're on the menu, you don't even have a finance minister. It's a puppet. Somebody's sending me a message here. Let me figure out what they're saying. This is what the menu really is. Supervision. Policy written elsewhere. The menu is aid. And aid arrives with instructions. When you enter into a IMF deal, there was a time when we had farmers in Jamaica had to dump milk. Dump milk. When you enter into some of these deals, they come with conditions. The menu is being spoken for in rooms that you are not allowed to enter. And that's why Mr. Holness understood something his predecessors either ignored or accepted. That is, you cannot be poor and proud. You can't be poor and proud. Poor and bossy. Omar Davis. Poor and bossy. Was an arrogant man. When you heard him on the Breakfast Club, you couldn't believe that he wasn't the best. Can't be poor and bossy at the same time on the global stage. Pride without power is decoration. So the work was uncomfortable, necessary, and strategic. Debt reduction wasn't cruelty. It was escape. You ever in a credit card debt yet? Oh my God, it's a noose around your neck. Fiscal discipline was not punishment. It was protection. And so by restoring economic credibility, Holness removed Jamaica from the category of nations that can be pressured, rushed, or coerced. The country became stable enough to say no and credible enough to be listened to when it said yes. This is how you move from the menu to the table. You stop being desperate. When you're desperate, you will sell yourself. You will go on a back road through desperation. Come off a people menu. This is how you move from the menu to the table. And the PNP's posture in the last election threatens to return to the menu. That's why I find it disheartening. This is sobering, listeners. I'm sorry if I am upsetting your Friday night. Their rhetoric flirts with fiscal looseness. Their politics romanticizes a past where Jamaica was perpetually struggling but hopeful. A poet would describe it as exploitable. Exploitable. They speak as though the discipline that secured our seat is optional. You remember this? You remember this cliche? Balance books, why balance people's lives? That's nonsense. Balance books while balance people's lives? That's rubbish. Only sound good. Fact of the matter is that you don't balance the books, you're always going to be on the menu. And so Jamaica, having made the sacrifice to get off the menu, cannot go back there. As though global power has softened, as though appetites have disappeared. They have not. The world has not become kinder. It has become more competitive. You see what is happening in the Caribbean? Guyana is the fastest growing country in the world. Trinidad, the world has become more extractive, more impatient with weakness. To abandon the policies that place Jamaica at the table is to volunteer once again for consumption. And let's be very clear. No nation accidentally stays at the table. You have to defend your seat. You have to earn your seat. You have to maintain your seat. And what the government has done is that they are guarding the legacy. A legacy of sovereignty backed by substance. And to undo that is not change, is regression. Regression dressed up as empathy. We do not want to be back on the menu. We do not want to be back on the menu. We cannot afford to be back on the menu. And history will not forgive. Hear me tell you, history will not forgive leadership that places us back there again. And if Jamaica allows itself to go back on the menu, I can tell you this, me are the first one. Find somewhere else to go. This is not about party loyalty. It's about national survival. We must not go back on the menu so that nobody can yam us. That's what the country needs to be focused on. This is not about party loyalty. It's about the country's survival. The table is narrow. The menu is crowded. And Jamaica has already paid the price of being served. Never again. You ever broke yet? You ever broke? And God bless you. And you come out of brokenness. You ever walk yet, man? You ever not have no car and you struggle at the bus stop? God bless you with a little car. Pledge yourself, man. Never again, man. Implications of the menu are clear. Who's that sending that to? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. When you are on the menu, you lost your policy sovereignty. Others decide what you can afford, who you must align with, and how fast you must comply. Dr. Peter Phillips said that the humiliation he suffered at the IMF he hoped that no other finance minister had to go through that. That's what Dr. Phillips said. Peter Phillips. But serve Dr. Phillips right. Because it was Dr. Phillips. Dr. Phillips was part of the government that kept Jamaica on the menu for over 18 years. When Dr. Phillips went to the IMF to negotiate Jamaica's standby agreement, he felt what it feels like to be on the menu and not at the table. And Favour Williams today cannot suffer such indignity. As a matter of fact, one of our own, Nigel Clark, is a deputy managing director at the IMF, to tell you how far Jamaica has come off the menu and at the table. And we know they are criticized the Prime Minister. We know they are calling him names. We know set on ungrateful people. But you don't understand. It's because you don't understand. Don't understand. When you're on the menu, you are economically vulnerable. Capital becomes conditional. Credit becomes punishment. And development becomes delayed permission. When you're on the menu, you are strategically irrelevant. You are not consulted, you are managed. Being at the table means you negotiate, not beg. Being at the table means you choose partners, not patrons. Being at the table means you shape outcomes, not absorb consequences. This is the difference between leadership and nostalgia. And then the PNP came with time come in the last election. Time come for what? That's what they said, time come. But history demands that we ask harder questions. Jamaica was not seated. Jamaica was served. When time came for Jamaica, they were served. You know what they were served? It wasn't tasteful. It wasn't tasty. Because we couldn't even buy patty. And if you are not at the table, then you're on the menu. So when this same party that placed the country on the menu tells us time come, we must interrogate the invitation, because time come is an invitation to be interrogated. But it wasn't prosecuted well, you know. The Labour Party did not prosecute that case well in the last election. And I watched them struggle. The party that placed the country on the menu now come and tell the country say time come. That is an invitation that should have been interrogated and wasn't prosecuted well. Is it time come for empowerment, or is time come to be eaten again? Is it time come for debt dressed up as development? Time come for this dependency sold as compassion? Time come for borrowed money, borrowed policies, and borrowed dignity? Because that is what the menu looks like. The menu is where decisions are already made. The menu is where the price is fixed before you arrive. When you're on the menu, you don't fix the price. You choose. You want steak, or you want goat, or you want fish, or you want mutton? Take that or leave it. The menu is where you do not choose. You are chosen. Let's not rewrite history, you hear, people. Under the previous administration, Jamaica was a nation waiting. We were at the bus stop, turn up a bus stop, waiting on lenders. Oh, how they celebrated a little money when it came into Jamaica. Waiting on approval, waiting on rescue. A country permanently in line. Jamaica was permanently in line, waiting. Permanently hopeful. Permanently vulnerable. A little hurricane blow, and the whole of our rear end out a door. That's what their time come. A time of exposure, when Jamaica's future could be recorded by forces far beyond its control. Permanently in line. What a shame, what a disgrace. And you know, as I look across this land, this country, Jamaica, and our people, I wonder, do they know their history? Do they know where they're coming from? So no, time did not come. And Jamaica paid for it. Then came a different question. Not time come, but choice. Because the Labour Party did not promise a moment. They demanded a decision. Choose Jamaica. And that slogan was not poetry. It was philosophy. It said, choose discipline over drama. Choose sovereignty over sentiment. Choose the long road of credibility over the short road of applause. Because choosing Jamaica meant choosing the table. Even when the cost was uncomfortable. Even when the work was quiet. Even when the rewards were not immediate. Mr. Holness understood what the PNP either forgot or refused to accept. Time does not liberate nations. Choices do. Let me tell you, look at Haiti. Time doesn't liberate a people. Choices do it. It's a choice in. Choose Jamaica over time, people. And if the Labour Party had made that point in the election, it would have opened a lot of people's eyes. No, time can come. It's choices people make that sets them free. There are countries today that are much older than we are, and they are poor. Choices. Choose discipline. You choose discipline over drama and sovereignty over sentiment. Time. Not liberate nobody. Choices. You do not age into power. You do not slogan your way to respect. You build it. You defend it. And you maintain it. And here's the danger now. 9:30 is upon us. Here's the danger. When the PNP says time come again, we must ask, time come to undo the very choices that lifted us from the menu? Is that what we are to do? Undo the choices that lifted us from the menu? Is it time come to loosen discipline in a world that punishes weakness faster than ever? Is it time come to gamble credibility for nostalgia? Is it time come to return to a posture where Jamaica is discussed but not deciding? Because I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, the world is not sentimental, you know. The world is not patient. The world is always hungry. Because the menu has not disappeared. It's simply been rearranged. And so Jamaica's seat at the table is not guaranteed by history. It is protected by leadership. And if as a country you miss that moment, your children and grandchildren will not forgive you. You don't have a place at the table because of history. You have a place at the table because of leadership. Mayor Motley from Barbados. It's 280,000 people in that country. Very small. Portmore is larger than Barbados. And Mayor Motley, when she speaks, gets global recognition. You don't have a space at the table because of history. You have a space at the table because of leadership. And Jamaica must not fool around and lose its space at the table. And right now, that leadership is choosing restraint over recklessness. And all of you who are out there talking about Hurricane Melissa's money and how much money is to be gotten, note this, that if the government is reckless, you'll find yourself right back on the menu. The government cannot afford to be fiscally reckless and place the country back on the menu. That is what people need to understand. And that is why it is so discouraging to listen to the opposition. Because they speak as if they do not understand that if you are not at the table, you're on the menu. We have to take position over populism and strategy over slogans. Let's just try and see if we can wrap this up. Maybe time come, but not for what they are offering. Time come to remember what the menu costs. Can I invite you? Remember what the menu costs. Time come to remember that. Time come to refuse to be priced, portioned, and pressured. Time come to choose not from the menu, but from the table. Because at the table, Jamaica decides. At the table, Jamaica negotiates. At the table, Jamaica is not consumed. Jamaica is consulted. And choice matters. Time come to change the nation. Choices do. And so I join with my Jamaican brothers and I choose Jamaica. I didn't say I choose the JLP. I said I choose Jamaica. Time come to defend the table. Time come to remember we have already been served once, never again. Once beaten, you can end that yourself. You know, you're a student in political science. Talk about social science. I hear Mr. Jackson talking about social science at the university. You could prosecute this case well. You could prosecute it, you know. You could say something like this. Members of the jury, who are the Jamaican people, we are told once again that time come. But before we accept the claim, the court must examine the record. Because slogans are not evidence. And memory matters. The charge before the Jamaican people is very simple, you know. And it is this, Mr. Perry, that the People's National Party, when last entrusted with power, placed Jamaica on the menu. When that party had the affairs of the nation, they placed the country on the menu. We had no choice in our sovereignty. And now they ask to be trusted again without accounting for the cost. The leader of the opposition is suggesting that all they need to do is to win 4 more seats. Under the PNP, Mr. Perry, Jamaica was governed into dependency. Look at what is happening in Westmoreland. Debt climbed, growth stagnated, and sovereignty became conditional. That was not accidental, Mr. Perry. That was systemic. When a nation cannot finance itself, Prod Perry, it must accept terms written elsewhere. When you go to the bank to borrow money, you don't write the terms, brother. The bank write that, you sign it or you left it. Sign the line, they say. You want them money, you have to take it. Under the previous administration, Jamaica was governed into dependency. High debt, growth, anemic. and we had our sovereignty conditional. But that's not accidental, systemic. When a nation cannot finance itself or any individual, it must accept terms written elsewhere. This is the definition of the menu, Mr. Perry. If you are not at the table, you're on the menu. And the PNP kept Jamaica on the menu for too long. You do not negotiate from debt. You have to comply. When you're indebted, you don't have no power to negotiate. You have to comply. And we mustn't, don't, And so your part would have us believe that time come has corrected this condition. But time come does not erase exposure. Time not come by history. Time come by choices. Discipline is what does it. Action do that. And it was not the PNP who delivered that discipline. And I know some of you will talk about that 4 years under Portia Simpson when you were forced to apply the bitter medicine that Wholeness spoke of because of the 18.5 years of recklessness. To forget, time come to repeat, time come to risk everything that pulled us back from the edge. Let me tell you something. The party that made Jamaica edible cannot now say the party that made us edible cannot now ask if we are hungry for more. If you were prosecuting this case, the defense will say, they will say circumstances were difficult. They will say intentions were good. They will say the world was different then. But the world is more dangerous now, not less. And nations that flirt with weakness today are consumed faster, quieter, with fewer apologies. We should not return to the menu. We should stay at the table. The alternative is to choose the table. And Mr. Wholeness and the JLP did not promise a moment. The PNP promised a moment. Time come. The Jamaica Labour Party demanded a choice. See the difference? One party is about the moment. Time come. The other party demanded a choice. It's rooted in theology. For what did the Bible say? Choose he this day who he will serve. God be God, serve him. And if Baal be Baal, serve him. That choice meant fiscal restraint instead of fiscal romance. Credibility instead of convenience. Sovereignty built on numbers, not narratives. And because of that choice, Jamaica is no longer spoken for. Jamaica is spoken with. Not spoken for, spoken with. That is what sitting at the table sounds like. And so I put the question to the neighbors on the program. I put the question to the neighbors on the program. When the PNP says time come, the nation must respond. Time come to be eaten? Or time come to stay seated where we are fought to belong? Because we have already lived through their answers once. And Jamaica cannot afford to forget what the menu costs. If we forget what the menu costs, brothers and sisters, we will forever be in the perpetual cycle of defeat. Politics have no place in this argument. This is an argument purely about the future of Jamaica. For God's sake, take off your orange shirt and listen. History is not about not time come. History is about the choices you make. And if you're going to change your life individually and collectively, you make the right choices. This is not about punishment. It's about prevention. It's not about revenge. It's about remembrance. Because the table is not inherited. You don't inherit a place at the table. You have to defend it. And I tell you, history will be very unforgiving of those who trade it for a slogan. You can't trade your country for a slogan. Because to trade your country for a slogan is to return to the striking menu where they will name you, spit you out, and place you back in a perpetual cycle of poverty. Now that Mr. Holness has lifted the country off the menu and placed it at the table, it's for the Jamaican people to decide. Do they return to the menu or do they continue to sit at the table? Where do you want to be, Jamaica? On the menu or at the table? Those are your notes for tonight, Friday, the 6th of February, 2026. Great.
Something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and the most to gain from genuine cooperation. Middle powers must act together because if we're not at the... We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just. This is the task of the middle powers. The countries that have the most to lose from a world of fortresses and the most to gain from genuine cooperation. Middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just.
You know, these little distractions about Auditor General reports and all of them. So that's all. We have better things to talk about here, you know. Harry, let me pick you up. Hello, Harry. Hello.
Neighbour, everybody. Hey, Caroline.
Harry, 9 minutes to 10 o'clock. Harry, the fact of the matter, Harry, is that Mark Carney has said something that I sought to bring home to Jamaica. That quite frankly, Harry, we've spent too long on the menu. It's time to defend our space at the table.
Of course, Neighbour. It is, in fact, Neighbour, I think we would have been robbed of having a seat at the table a few decades ago.
Yes.
Right? In fact, for me, it is one in which, while on the menu, we had moments, right? And that is the thing about it. When you don't control or even have some of those variables of stability and respect,
yes,
because those are two things you have to have